Friday. It was in Pine View Liquors that I first saw her. It was like looking at myself 9 months ago. Her jeans were neither light nor dark, just blue. They grazed her ankles, and the hems were frayed purposefully rather than from wear. I knew because I had the same ones. A flowing white blouse rested at the level of her narrow hips. She was wearing taupe espadrille wedges, closed-toe. It was only May, not quite open-toe shoe season in Maryland. But her fingernails were a shiny coral hue, and I could only assume her toenails matched. Her deliberately golden blonde hair was loosely wavy, as if she had braided it when wet the night before. This morning, she woke up, undid the braid, sprayed dry shampoo at the roots and hairspray at the ends and tousled them for a beachy-looking effect. I could almost see her doing it. She may have wound a few sections around a curling iron for several seconds to enhance the definition of the waves for a more polished look. That's what I used to do. Her mouth was twisted in concentration as she inspected the wall of white wine. The sunlight filtered in through the abundant windows on the front wall of the store, reflecting off the silky-looking yellow liquid filling the bottles and casting a warm glow across her pretty face. The shelves of wine are in the front of the store, near the windows, while the bottles of liquor and the people who buy them, people like me, are relegated to the back. Finally, she selected 2 bottles, one Riesling and one Sauvignon Blanc, and carefully placed them into her red plastic basket, which already held a 6-pack of beer. An option for those who like something sweet and an option for those who don't. But what about everyone in between? I stood frozen at the edge of the aisle watching her, but she paid me no mind until she turned away from the shelves. She moved out of the aisle, smiling slightly at me as she passed, the way strangers in close proximity do when they don't feel threatened by the presence of the other person. I took her place in the aisle, still fragrant from her presence, and added the same 2 bottles of wine to my own red plastic basket, even though I'm not usually a wine drinker. Not anymore. The bottles clattered against each other in the Grey Goose as I followed her to the checkout line. I pictured the bottles shattering from the force of being knocked together, the liquid gushing to the floor in a waterfall, soaking my yoga pants and sneakers, the woman turning to look at me as I melted to the floor in embarrassment. That didn't happen, and I didn't know whether I wanted it to or not. But I had become the sort of person to whom something so shameful might happen. Not like her. Her bottles would never shatter. Mine wouldn't have, either, back then. On my way to the checkout line, I tossed a bag of chips and 2 chocolate bars into my basket. I didn't notice which flavors I selected, and that's because it didn't matter. I wouldn't taste them anyway. I stood in line behind the woman, approximately 2 feet away. I imagined that I was her. I wished that I was. And I almost laughed. Because I used to be. I could see a single gray hair spouting from the back of her head. It must have been missed when she last had her highlights done. I resisted the urge to reach out and pluck it for her. I have started to notice a few gray hairs on my own head as well, even though I'm not quite 30. They're mostly underneath the top layers of hair, around my ears. I, too, used to sit in a black leather swivel chair for 3 hours every few months, while a woman whom I knew very superficially would paint odorous dye onto my head and fold sections of hair into the same aluminum foil used to roast potatoes or salmon. It's been a long time since I've done that, and I don't plan on resuming the dreaded ritual anytime soon.